The fluorescent lights in the police station were making my hands look pale and unfamiliar as I sat across from Officer Martinez. My daughter-in-law was sobbing in another room, her voice carrying through the walls. "She's unstable," I heard her say between gasps. "She took my children without permission. I didn't know where they were. I was terrified." My throat was so tight I could barely swallow. 67 years old, and I was sitting in a police station being accused of kidnapping my own grandchildren. My name is Diane Fletcher. I've lived in the same house in Portland, Oregon for 42 years. I was an elementary school teacher for 35 of those years. I've never even had a parking ticket, and now I was being questioned about abducting 2 children I would die to protect. But I had something my daughter-in-law didn't know about, something that would change everything in the next 10 minutes. Let me tell you how I got here. It started 6 years ago when my son Michael brought Amber home for Thanksgiving. She was beautiful in that effortless way some women are, with long dark hair and a smile that could light up a room. She worked in marketing, she said, and she had Michael completely captivated. He'd been married once before, briefly in his 20s, and I'd watched him become cautious about relationships after that ended. But with Amber, he seemed different, lighter, happier. They were married within a year. I remember standing at their wedding, watching them dance, thinking how lucky Michael was to have found someone who made him laugh like that. My husband James had passed away 3 years earlier, and seeing Michael so happy felt like a gift. Like maybe the universe was finally giving our family something good after the grief we'd endured. Amber was pregnant within months. Sophia came first, then Noah 2 years later. I became the grandmother I'd always dreamed of being. I babysat every Tuesday and Thursday while Amber worked. I attended every pediatrician appointment, every milestone. I kept a drawer of extra clothes at my house for unexpected sleepovers. I learned to make the exact kind of grilled cheese sandwiches they liked, with the crusts cut off and sliced diagonally. For 3 years, everything seemed perfect. The first time I noticed something was wrong was at Noah's 2nd birthday party. Amber had been in the kitchen for over an hour organizing the cake and snacks when I went to ask if she needed help. She was leaning against the counter, and there was a glass of what looked like water in her hand. But when she turned to me, her eyes were glassy and her movements were just slightly off balance. "I'm fine, Diane," she said, her words precise in that way people get when they're working hard to sound sober. "Just tired. Noah was up all night." I told myself I was imagining things. Young mothers got exhausted. I remembered those days myself. But then it happened again. And again. Always in the late afternoon. Always with that same glass of clear liquid. Once I picked up the glass she'd left on the counter and sniffed it. Vodka. My stomach dropped. I didn't say anything at first. I convinced myself it was just occasional stress relief. Nothing serious. But over the next year, the signs became impossible to ignore. Amber started calling in sick to work more frequently. She'd forget about play dates she'd scheduled. One time, I arrived to pick up the kids and found Sophia, who was only 4, trying to make lunch for herself and Noah because Amber was sleeping at 2 in the afternoon. I tried talking to Michael. God, I tried so many times. But he defended her with a fierceness that frightened me. "Mom, she's dealing with postpartum depression," he said the first time I brought it up. "Her doctor has her on medication. She's fine." "Michael, I don't think it's just depression. I think she might be—" "Don't," he interrupted, his voice sharp. "Don't accuse her of something like that without proof. She's a good mother. She's just struggling right now." I backed off. What else could I do? I couldn't risk Michael shutting me out completely. If that happened, I might lose access to Sophia and Noah, and they needed at least one stable adult in their lives. So I became hyper-vigilant. I checked in constantly. I extended my babysitting days. I made excuses to drop by their house unannounced, always with fresh cookies or a casserole, always watching for signs that the children were okay. Most of the time, they were. Michael worked long hours as an engineer, but when he was home, he was an excellent father, attentive, patient, loving. And Amber had good days too. Days when she seemed like the woman Michael had married, planning elaborate craft projects with the kids and sending me cheerful photos of their adventures. But the bad days were getting more frequent and worse. 3 months ago, I got a call from Sophia's kindergarten teacher. "Mrs. Fletcher, I wanted to touch base about Sophia's attendance," Mrs. Chen said carefully. "She's missed quite a few days this semester, and when she is here, she sometimes seems very tired. Is everything all right at home?" My heart was pounding. How many days has she missed? 11 days so far this semester. That's more than our policy usually allows without medical documentation. I thanked her and immediately called Michael at work. "Did you know Sophia has missed 11 days of school?" There was a long silence. "What?" "No. Amber told me she had a cold last week, but 11 days? Michael, you have to face what's happening. This isn't just stress or depression anymore. Something is seriously wrong." "I'll talk to her," he said, but his voice was hollow. He knew. Deep down, he'd probably known for a long time. But knowing and facing are two different things. 2 weeks after that phone call, Michael started texting me more often. Short messages that broke my heart. "Can you take the kids this weekend? Amber isn't feeling well." "Mom, I know it's your night off, but could you pick up Sophia from ballet? Can the kids sleep over tonight? Sorry for the short notice." I never said no. Not once. Because every text was Michael's way of telling me what he couldn't say out loud, that his wife was drunk and his children weren't safe with her. The messages started coming in the mornings too. That's when I really started to panic. "Mom, can you get them to school? Running late for work. Can you pack their lunches today? I forgot last night." Once, just once, he wrote, "Thank you for being there. I don't know what we'd do without you." I cried when I read that, because what I heard was, "I don't know how to fix this and I'm drowning." I started documenting everything. I don't know why exactly. Maybe some instinct told me I might need proof someday. I took screenshots of every text Michael sent. I kept a calendar marking every day I had the children unexpectedly. I even started taking photos when I picked them up and they were wearing the same clothes as the day before, or when Noah's diaper clearly hadn't been changed in too long. I wasn't trying to build a case against Amber. I was trying to protect my grandchildren and my son. 2 months ago, things escalated. I got a call from Michael at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday night. His voice was shaking. "Mom, can you come get the kids? Right now? What happened?" "Just please come. I'll explain later." I threw on clothes and drove to their house. Michael met me at the door with both children already in their pajamas, each holding a small backpack. Sophia's eyes were red from crying. Noah was sucking his thumb, something he only did when he was scared. "Michael, what?" "She drove them home from the grocery store," he said quietly. "A neighbor called me. Said she was swerving all over the road. The kids were in the car, Mom. They were in the car." I felt like someone had punched me in the chest. "Where is she now?" "Inside, passed out." He looked at me with eyes that reminded me of when he was a little boy and had just realized his goldfish had died. "I can't do this anymore, but I don't know how to stop it either." "You have to get her help, Michael. Real help. A treatment program." "I know." He kissed both children on their heads. "I'll figure something out, I promise. Just keep them safe tonight." That was 7 weeks ago. In the weeks that followed, Michael tried everything. He begged Amber to go to rehab. She refused. He threatened to leave. She promised to quit on her own. He found bottles hidden in the house and poured them out. She bought more. He tried to get her family involved, but they lived 3 states away and insisted Amber just had a lot on her plate and needed support, not accusations. The vodka bottles kept appearing, the children kept coming to my house at odd hours, and Michael kept trying to hold everything together while slowly falling apart himself. Last week, he finally told me he'd contacted a divorce attorney. "I have to protect them," he said. We were sitting in my kitchen while the kids watched a movie in the living room. The lawyer says, with documentation of her drinking, I have a strong case for full custody, but she also said it's going to get ugly, really ugly. What does that mean? It means Amber will fight. It means she'll probably accuse me of terrible things. The lawyer said that's common in these cases. People get desperate." He rubbed his face. "I just never thought we'd end up here. When I married her, I thought I'd found my forever person." I covered his hand with mine. "You're doing the right thing. Those children need stability. They need safety." "I know. I just wish there was another way." But there wasn't another way. We both knew it. 3 days ago, Michael told Amber he wanted a divorce and that he was filing for full custody. She screamed at him for 2 hours, he said. Threw things. Told him he was destroying their family. Told him he'd regret it. She kept saying I was going to lose everything, Michael told me on the phone that night. That she'd make sure I never saw the kids again. But Mom, how can she say that when she's the one who's drunk by 3 o'clock every day? I didn't have an answer. I just told him I loved him and that we'd get through this together. I had no idea how bad it was about to get. Yesterday morning started normally enough. I was making oatmeal and planning to work in my garden when my phone buzzed at 7:30. A text from Michael. "Mom, can you pick them up from school today? She's drunk again. Don't tell her." My hands were shaking as I typed back, "Of course. What time?" Sophia gets out at 2:45, Noah at 3 grays. "I'll call the school and add you to the pickup list. I'm in back-to-back meetings until 5. Thank you." I sent back a heart emoji and tried to calm the anxiety rising in my chest. This was becoming routine, but it never felt routine. Every time Michael asked me to step in, I knew it meant Amber was too impaired to care for her own children. And every time I wondered if this would be the day something truly terrible happened. I spent the day trying to distract myself. I weeded the garden. I called my sister. I baked cookies for the kids. But by 2 o'clock, I was already in my car, heading to Sophia's school 30 minutes early. I couldn't sit still anymore. The pickup line at Elmwood Elementary was already forming when I arrived. I parked and walked to the entrance where parents waited for their children. At exactly 2:45, the doors opened and children began streaming out. Sophia saw me immediately and her whole face lit up. "Grandma!" She ran over and hugged my waist. "I didn't know you were picking me up today." "Surprise," I said, smoothing her hair. "Your dad asked me to. How was school?" "Good. We learned about butterflies and I got to feed the class hamster." She chattered away as we walked to the car, and some of the tension in my shoulders eased. She seemed happy. Normal. Okay. We drove to Noah's preschool next. He was equally excited to see me, showing me a painting he'd made of what he said was a dinosaur but looked more like a green blob with teeth. I praised it enthusiastically and buckled him into his car seat. "Can we go to your house, Grandma?" Noah asked as I started driving. "That's exactly where we're going. I made chocolate chip cookies this morning." "Yes!" both kids cheered. I glanced in the rearview mirror at their smiling faces and felt that familiar mix of love and heartbreak. They deserved so much better than this. They deserved a mother who could take care of them. They deserved a childhood without chaos. We were halfway to my house when I noticed a car behind me. A silver Honda Civic. Amber's car. My heart started racing. How did she know I had the kids? Michael said not to tell her. Did she call the school? Was she following us? I turned left at the next light. The Honda turned left too. I told myself I was being paranoid. Lots of people drove silver Hondas. It was probably just coincidence. But then I turned right at the next intersection, and the Honda did too. It was definitely following us. "Grandma, why are we going this way?" Sophia asked. "Your house is the other way." "I just need to make a quick stop first, sweetie." My mind was racing. What should I do? Drive home? But then Amber would be right there, and I didn't want the kids to witness whatever confrontation was coming. Drive to Michael's work? Too far, and he was in meetings. The police station? Was this serious enough for that? I made another turn, heading toward the main shopping area of town. There would be people there, witnesses, safety. The Honda stayed right behind me. I pulled into the parking lot of a Target and quickly parked. Before I could even turn off the engine, Amber was out of her car and storming toward us. Through my rearview mirror, I could see her face was flushed and her movements were aggressive. "Kids, stay in the car," I said firmly. "Lock the doors when I get out." "Grandma, what's wrong?" Sophia's voice was scared. "Nothing, honey, just stay here." I got out and barely had time to close the door before Amber was in my face. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" Her breath reeked of alcohol and her eyes were wild. "Those are my children. You can't just take them without asking me." "Michael called the school and authorized me to pick them up," I said, trying to keep my voice calm. "I'm just babysitting for the afternoon." "He didn't ask me." She tried to move past me toward the car, but I blocked her. "Get out of my way, Diane." "Amber, you've been drinking. You're not in any condition to drive them anywhere." Her face twisted with rage. "How dare you? You've been poisoning Michael against me from the beginning. You never thought I was good enough for your precious son. Well, guess what? Those are my kids, not yours. You're just a bitter old woman who can't stand that someone else is raising her grandchildren." Each word felt like a slap. I could see people in the parking lot starting to stare. "I only want what's best for Sophia and Noah," I said quietly. "Please, Amber, let me take them to my house. You can rest. When Michael gets off work, we'll figure this out." "Figure what out?" "There's nothing to figure out. You kidnapped my children and I'm calling the police." "I didn't kidnap anyone. Michael authorized." "I don't care what Michael authorized. I'm their mother. I'm calling the police right now." She pulled out her phone. I looked back at the car. Both kids were pressed against the window, watching with terrified expressions. This was exactly what I'd wanted to avoid. "Amber, please, you're scaring them." "I'm scaring them? You took them without telling me where they were going. I called the school and they said some random woman picked them up. Do you know what that feels like? Thinking your children are missing? I'm not some random woman. I'm their grandmother. And you knew Michael was making arrangements. You know why he's making arrangements. Because of you." She jabbed a finger at my chest. "Because you've been feeding him lies about me, telling him I'm not a good mother, trying to turn him against me." The police arrived faster than I expected. 2 squad cars pulled into the parking lot and my stomach dropped. This was really happening. 4 officers got out and approached us. One of them, a young woman with her hair pulled back in a tight bun, spoke first. "We got a call about a possible child abduction. What's going on here?" Amber immediately burst into tears. It was like watching someone flip a switch. The rage vanished, replaced by hysterical sobbing. "My children," she gasped. "She took my children from school without telling me. I had no idea where they were. I've been looking everywhere. I was terrified something had happened to them." The officer looked at me. "Ma'am, is this true? Did you pick up these children?" "Yes, but without the mother's permission. My son, their father, called the school and authorized me to pick them up. This is all a misunderstanding." Another officer, an older man with gray at his temples, walked over to the car. I could see him talking to Sophia through the window. She was crying now, too. Amber kept sobbing. "She's been trying to take them from me for months. She thinks I'm a bad mother. She's unstable. She's obsessed with my children. I want to press charges. I want her arrested." Arrested? The word came out as a whisper. "I'm their grandmother. I babysit them twice a week. I would never hurt them." "Can anyone verify your story?" the female officer asked me. "Yes, my son, Michael Fletcher. He's their father. He can confirm everything. He sent me a text this morning asking me to pick them up." "Can we see that text?" I pulled out my phone with shaking hands and showed her Michael's message. She read it carefully, but her expression didn't change. "It says not to tell the mother. Why would he say that?" I hesitated. How could I explain without revealing Amber's drinking problem? But then I looked at Amber, at her flushed face and glassy eyes, at the way she was swaying slightly even while standing still, and I realized the truth was the only option. Because she's intoxicated. She's been struggling with alcohol abuse for over a year. My son has been trying to protect the children. That's why he asked me to pick them up today. Amber's sobs turned into screams. "That's a lie. She's making things up because she wants custody. She's always wanted to take them from me. She's insane. She's dangerous." The officers looked between us, clearly trying to assess who was telling the truth. "Ma'am," the older officer said to me, "I'm going to need you to come down to the station to sort this out. We need to verify your story with the father." "Am I under arrest?" "Not at this time. But we need to investigate the claim. We have to take allegations of child abduction seriously." I felt like the ground was tilting. "What about the children?" "They'll stay with their mother until we can contact their father." "No." The word burst out of me. "You can't leave them with her. Look at her. She's drunk. She's not safe to drive them anywhere." The female officer stepped closer to Amber, and I saw recognition flash across her face. She'd noticed it too. The alcohol smell, the unsteady stance. "Ma'am, have you been drinking today?" she asked Amber. "No, I haven't had anything. She's just trying to—" "I'm going to need you to take a breathalyzer test." Amber's face went pale. "That's not necessary. I'm fine. I just want my children back." "It's standard procedure in cases involving children. If you refuse, we'll have to call Child Protective Services." For a moment, Amber looked like she might run. Then her shoulders slumped. "Fine. Whatever." The officer administered the test right there in the parking lot. I watched Amber's face as she blew into the device, and I saw the exact moment she realized her world was about to collapse. The officer looked at the reading and her expression hardened. "You're at .18. That's more than twice the legal limit." Amber started crying again, but this time it was different. These weren't manipulative tears. These were the tears of someone who knew they'd been caught. "Ma'am, you're not in any condition to take custody of these children right now. We're going to call Child Protective Services and see if there's another family member who can take them." "I can take them," I said immediately. "I'm their grandmother. They know me. They're comfortable with me." The officers conferred quietly. Then the older one nodded. "We still need you to come to the station to give a statement and verify everything with the father. Can someone meet you there with the children?" "My neighbor," I said. "She has a key to my house. I can call her." They agreed. I called Janet, my neighbor of 15 years, and explained the situation as briefly as I could. She was at Target in 10 minutes. The officers checked her identification, and then I watched as Janet took Sophia and Noah to her car. Both children were crying and confused, and it broke my heart that they had to see any of this. "It's okay," I told them, hugging them through the car window. "You're going to Grandma's house with Miss Janet. I'll be there very soon, I promise." Then I got in my car and followed the police cruiser to the station, my hands gripping the wheel so tightly my knuckles were white. That's how I ended up sitting across from Officer Martinez in that small room with the fluorescent lights. Amber was somewhere in the building, sobbing about how unstable I was, and I was trying to explain a situation that sounded insane even to my own ears. "Mrs. Fletcher, I understand this is difficult," Officer Martinez said. She had kind eyes, but I could tell she was reserving judgment. "But you have to understand how this looks. You picked up children without informing their mother. You have text messages telling you specifically not to tell her. From our perspective, that's concerning." "Because she was intoxicated," I said. "My son was protecting his children." "But you didn't call authorities. You didn't report suspected child abuse or neglect. You just picked up the kids and took them." "Because my son asked me to. He's their father. He has every right to decide who picks up his children." "Does he have sole custody?" "No, they're still married, but he's filed for divorce and custody because of her drinking." Officer Martinez made notes. "We've been trying to reach your son. His phone is going to voicemail. He's in meetings at work. He probably has his phone off, but he'll call back as soon as he sees the missed calls. He'll confirm everything I'm saying." "I hope so, Mrs. Fletcher. Because right now, your daughter-in-law is making some serious accusations. She says you've been trying to alienate the children from her, that you've been interfering in her marriage, that you've been telling people she's an unfit mother." "I haven't been telling people anything. I've been trying to protect 2 innocent children from a dangerous situation. And you don't think calling Child Protective Services would have been a better approach?" I closed my eyes. That question had been haunting me for months. I thought about it many times, but I was afraid of what would happen. If CPS got involved, they might have taken the children away from both parents, put them in foster care. I thought if I could just be there, just help Michael through this, we could avoid that. But you see how that decision led us here, right? To you being accused of kidnapping. I see it, but I'd make the same choice again if it meant keeping them safe. We sat in silence for a moment. Then Officer Martinez's radio crackled, and someone said my son was on the line. Relief flooded through me. That's Michael. He can explain everything. Officer Martinez stepped out of the room. I sat there alone, staring at my hands, praying that Michael could fix this, that the truth would be enough. When Officer Martinez came back 10 minutes later, her entire demeanor had changed. "Mrs. Fletcher, I've spoken with your son. He confirmed your story. He authorized you to pick up the children, and he explained the situation with his wife's substance abuse issues. He's on his way here now." "So I'm free to go?" "Yes, you're free to go. I'm sorry for the confusion. We had to investigate the claim thoroughly." I stood up on shaky legs. "What happens to Amber?" "That's not for me to say. But Child Protective Services has been notified of the situation. They'll be conducting their own investigation. In the meantime, your son will need to make arrangements for the children's care. They can stay with me. They're already at my house." "That's between you and your son. But Mrs. Fletcher," she looked at me seriously, "you did the right thing protecting those kids. But next time something like this happens, please call authorities. That's what we're here for." I nodded, too exhausted to argue. Michael arrived at the station 20 minutes later. He looked like he'd aged 10 years in one afternoon. They let him come back to see me, and the moment I saw him, I started crying. "Mom, I'm so sorry." He hugged me tight. "I'm so sorry you had to go through this. I never thought she'd call the police. I never thought she'd accuse you of kidnapping. It's not your fault. You were trying to protect them. I should have done more, sooner. I should have called CPS myself months ago. I just kept thinking I could handle it, that I could keep everyone safe on my own. We both did the best we could with an impossible situation." He pulled back and wiped his eyes. "I talked to my lawyer on the way here. She's filing emergency custody papers first thing tomorrow morning. After today, after Amber failed that breathalyzer with the kids right there, no judge is going to leave them in her care." "What about Amber? Where is she?" "They kept her here for a few hours. She tested positive for alcohol and they found vodka bottles in her car. She wasn't arrested, but they issued a citation for something. I'm not sure what. Her sister is driving up from California to get her. She's going to stay with her family for a while." "Is she going to get help?" Michael's expression was devastated. "I don't know, Mom. I hope so. For her sake. But I can't make her get help. I can only protect our kids." We left the station together. The evening sun was setting, painting the sky orange and pink. It felt surreal to see something so beautiful after such an ugly day. "Where are Sophia and Noah?" Michael asked. "At my house with Janet. I need to call her and let her know we're on our way." "I'll follow you there." When we walked into my house, both children ran to Michael. He dropped to his knees and held them, and I saw tears streaming down his face. Sophia was asking 100 questions, and Noah was just clinging to his father's neck. Janet quietly gathered her things. "Call me if you need anything," she whispered. "Anything at all." I thanked her and locked the door behind her. Then I went to the kitchen and made grilled cheese sandwiches with the crusts cut off, sliced diagonally, just the way they liked them. We didn't talk about what had happened. Not that night. Michael read the kids their favorite stories. We watched a movie together. I made up the guest room with fresh sheets and found extra toothbrushes in the bathroom closet. At 9 o'clock, after the kids were finally asleep, Michael and I sat at my kitchen table with cups of tea. Neither of us drank. "Thank you," he said quietly, for everything, for being there, for never giving up on us. You're my son. They're my grandchildren. There's nothing to thank me for. There's everything to thank you for." He stared at his tea. "I failed them, Mom. I failed as a husband and a father. I saw what was happening and I didn't stop it soon enough. You're human, Michael. You loved your wife. You wanted to save your family. That's not failure. It feels like failure. Then let it feel like that for tonight. Tomorrow you get up and you keep fighting for those kids. That's what matters now." He nodded, but I could see the weight he was carrying, the guilt, the grief, the fear of what came next. That was yesterday. Today, Michael's lawyer filed for emergency custody. Tomorrow, there's a hearing. Amber's family has hired a lawyer, too, and they're claiming this was all a misunderstanding, that Michael is overreacting, that I'm manipulating the situation. But we have the police report from yesterday. We have the breathalyzer results. We have months of text messages from Michael documenting every time Amber was too impaired to care for the children. We have the school's attendance records showing all the days Sophia missed. We have my documentation, all those screenshots and photos and calendar entries I never wanted to use but kept just in case. The truth is powerful. It's messy and painful and it destroys lives. But it's powerful. Sophia and Noah are still at my house. They're adapting better than I expected, though Sophia keeps asking when Mommy is coming home. I don't know what to tell her. How do you explain addiction to a 5-year-old? How do you help a child understand that sometimes the people who are supposed to protect you are the ones you need protection from? Michael says his lawyer is confident about the custody case. She says the evidence is overwhelming. But he's still scared, and I don't blame him. The legal system is unpredictable, and Amber's family has money, which means they have resources we don't have. But here's what I know. Those 2 children are safe. They're sleeping in my guest room with full stomachs and clean clothes and no fear of what might happen when an adult has been drinking. They're going to wake up tomorrow morning to pancakes and cartoons and stability. Whatever happens in court, whatever accusations get thrown around, whatever price I have to pay for the choices I made, it was worth it. Every single moment of yesterday's nightmare was worth it to know they're safe. Because that's what grandmothers do. We protect our grandchildren, even when it costs us everything, even when we're accused of terrible things by people who should know better, even when we end up sitting in police stations under fluorescent lights, being questioned about our sanity and our motives. I'm not unstable. I'm not manipulative. I'm not trying to destroy anyone's family. I'm just a grandmother who loves 2 children more than her own comfort, more than her own reputation, more than her own peace of mind, and I'd do it all again. The text message is still on my phone. "Mom, can you pick them up? She's drunk again. Don't tell her." It's not the message any mother wants to receive from her son. It's evidence of a family in crisis, of a marriage falling apart, of a woman who needs help she won't accept. But it's also proof that I was asked, proof that I was needed, proof that when it mattered most, I showed up. Officer Martinez said I did the right thing. I hope she's right. I hope someday when Sophia and Noah are grown, they'll understand the choices we made. I hope they'll know that every decision, every difficult moment, every sacrifice was because we love them beyond measure. And maybe, if we're really lucky, I hope their mother gets the help she needs, not for Michael's sake, or even for mine, but for theirs. Because despite everything, those children love their mother, and they deserve the chance to have her in their lives, healthy and sober and whole. But until that day comes, if it ever does, they have me. They have their father. They have a grandmother who will pick them up from school whenever they need, who will make grilled cheese sandwiches with the crusts cut off, who will read them stories and tuck them in and remind them every single day that they are loved and safe and worth protecting.